We are in one of the glass houses at the John Innes Centre, and this is where we grow our plants for our research on grass pea. Grass pea is a really fascinating crop. It's an ancient legume crop that people have been growing for thousands of years that's very tolerant to both drought and flooding. And that's what makes it really, really interesting from a climate resilience and adaptation point of view, that it can survive stress factors in the environment that would cause other crops to fail. However, the limitation that grass pea has is that it produces a toxin that can become dangerous if you consume a lot of it while also being malnourished. So our research is trying to understand how the plant makes this toxin and using that knowledge to breed varieties that don't produce this toxin anymore, as well as understanding the socioeconomic context in which grass pea is cultivated and consumed, so that we can breed varieties that are suitable to the needs of people who depend on grass pea. Grass pea is currently widely consumed in South Asia, so in Bangladesh and parts of India. It is a staple food for some populations. It's also widely used in Ethiopia and in Eritrea. And because it is so resilient to drought and flooding, it serves as something like an insurance crop, something that people know will survive, something that they can depend on, that they can feed to themselves and to their animals, even when other crops fail. So the toxin in grass pea is something that we've known about for thousands of years. There are actually ancient Greek descriptions of people getting this disease from grass pea. And it can have really nasty effects. It can cause you to become paralyzed from the waist down. And once that has really set in, it's often irreversible. But it only happens under very specific circumstances. So you need to be dependent on grass pea as a staple food. It has to be something like 40% of your diet for several months. And under those conditions where people are malnourished because other foods are not available and they depend on grass pea, that's where this toxin can become dangerous. Our research is quite broad. We focus both on understanding how the plant makes this toxin to use that knowledge for breeding, and on building more resources for improving grass pea more widely. So we've sequenced the genome of the grass pea, which is twice the size of the human genome. And all of these plants, for example, are plants that we are using for genetic mapping to help breeders figure out where in the genome different traits and different genes are located. And by building up those resources, we want to make it easier for breeders to rapidly develop new varieties that are suited to different environments, that meet farmers' and consumers' needs, and that can make grass pea more widely used than it is currently.
So the social side to this project shows us not only about the toxicity story, but the fact that people have changed their culture around grass pea. People now no longer have the same concerns that they once did, and this actually puts them in a more vulnerable situation. What's really nice about this work is that we've been able to link really closely between the biology and the social science to understand a much more rounded picture of how people are using the crop and how we can better protect them and raise awareness to make sure that we can have a crop that is resilient in spite of climate change, but one that also can be safe for populations to eat.
We've seen it even in Britain. We've seen floods, we've seen droughts. So having crops like grass pea that can survive in conditions like this, where other crops would fail, is going to be really crucial. Not just in the countries where grass pea is currently grown, but all around the world.